Greetings and welcome back to Fast Gadgets. Got my little helper here, Meadow, and today we're going to talk about a very interesting system. Say hello, Meadow. Say hello. Hello. We're going to talk about the Lenovo ThinkPad W530. An awesome system to say the least. This one is very interesting, and I also have out here the Macbook Pro Retina 2015 edition. I wanted to show the size differential between the two. You can see already that this one's actually quite large, and it comes in at about 5.5 pounds. So this one more of a lightweight travel companion. This one, on the other hand, is a complete workstation replacement, but it's more than just a workstation replacement. Let's open it up and have a look at it. So the system actually has a beautiful display. I'm very impressed with this display. Very clean, easy to read. Now we're here outside, so it looks like it's dimmer than it is. And of course the flickering that you're seeing is not actually apparent on the screen. So that's just because of the video that we're taking. So I'm going to go ahead and get logged in. The screen actually is extremely colorful and beautiful to look at. And there's a reason for that. This system actually has a couple of different things. It's got an integrated color calibrator for a 95% color gamut, and it has an LED display. You can get these in full HD, but this one is not full HD. This one is 1600 by 900. What makes this particular portable workstation, so unique is the fact that you can actually use it with different application, and it's been certified, so it has an ISV certification, and if you're a photographer, or if you do CAD or CAM, any digital content creation, this particular laptop's been certified with 120 applications and tested thoroughly. And if you're curious, you can go to the Lenovo website, and there is a list of all the different applications that are ISV certified to work with this. This system also has the NVIDIA Quadro K2000M, so it is NVIDIA enabled. So it has a discrete graphics card built in with 2 gigabytes. And I went and did a little bit of research. Now this system is a little bit older, so it doesn't have quite as much power as some of the newer systems, but it does have 2 gigabytes of DDR3, and it has 385 CUDA cores running at 745 megahertz. It has something called Optimus technology, and I'm not 100% sure what that is. By today's comparison, the CUDA cores in the GTX 1060, which would be considered a lower end video card, is 1280. And that clock is 1506 megahertz, 1.5 gigahertz. So significantly different. Of course, things change, right? But what else does this ThinkPad have that makes it unique? It actually has Dolby Home Theater version 4. It has USB 3.0, which we'll talk about. And up here at the top, It's interesting. It's got a 720p camera, and that itself is not interesting. There's actually an LED that will shine down on the keyboard and your general desk area. It's not very bright, but it's perfect brightness for if you were working maybe on a plane or something like that. Perfect brightness. I haven't figured out how to turn it on yet. I saw it turn on when the system booted up. And what it basically does is allows you to work wherever you happen to be. So it truly is a portable workstation in that regard. Let's see, what else do we have? So it does have a 720p HD cam, not a full HD, but not many are. It also has a keyboard backlight. So if I do function and spacebar, you can't actually see it, but I've just turned on the backlight. I'm going to turn it off since I'm outside and I don't really need it, and I don't want to drain the battery excessively because I'm going to be showing you some pretty cool stuff here. So the other thing that this system has that makes it unique, now I know a lot of people say, well, I can get the 1060 with far better CUDA cores, etc., and that's all true, but these systems, if you know anything about a ThinkPad, these systems are designed specifically for ruggedness and use. This system was actually tested, military spec testing, and that includes 8 different parameters: high pressure, humidity, vibration, high temperature, temperature shock, low pressure below 15,000 feet, low temperature, and dust. So this system is not your typical gamer system that you can get for $800 at some store, right? This is definitely a quality system. And it says here the starting weight is 5.76 pounds. It estimates up to 7.4 hours with a standard removable 6-cell battery, but as I'm going to show you, this particular system does not have the 6-cell battery. It actually has a 9-cell battery, and you can tell because the extra cells actually protrude out of the back. Now, I just put this into sleeper. I'd pop the battery out, but I don't want to do that right at this point. So let's look at some of the different ports that this system has on it. It has a Kensington lock here. It has an RJ45 jack, and I believe this is a 1 gigabit port. This, I believe, is DVD, so it's not Blu-ray. Headphone jack, small SD card, and the older CF compact flash card support, which I think is totally awesome. On the front, it has the opening to open the lid, and I can click it back in place. And as you saw earlier in my gratuitous eye candy footage, this system actually is able to open up without actually holding on to the bottom. Something that Macs always say are the greatest. This here is the Wi-Fi on and off switch, so it has a physical Wi-Fi switch. Supports 1394, so we have FireWire support. Standard USB, has 2 USB 3, VGA on board, which is excellent. Anybody who does presentations that are work related, if you're working in the IT industry, you know that companies do not replace their equipment very quickly, so most of the projectors are still only VGA compatible. And this is a mini DVI port, which I think is totally awesome. We have exhaust here, and possibly intake or exhaust here. I can't really be 100%. The system is very quiet, though, I can tell you that while I was running it. Extremely quiet. This is for power, and over here we have a powered USB port, so you can plug things into it and it will actually charge USB devices, which is totally awesome. And this side we already went through. So I'm going to bring it back up, and I'm going to go ahead and log into the system. Again, the flickering that you're seeing on the screen is definitely not visible to the human eye. It's just a fact of the camera. and I'm going to log in. I'm going to show you a couple of tests that I ran on the system, and this one's running Windows 7. So I ran two tests. One was, let me find my folder that I'm looking for. All right, the Geekbench scores. I was very curious how it would do with Geekbench. I found that this system actually is very robust. It did 2,992 on single core, and 11,250 on multi-core. And this system actually has 4 physical cores in it, and with multi-threading, hyper-threading I should say, it has 8 cores, 8 logical cores. So it's running the Intel Core i7 3630QM CPU at 2.4 gigahertz, and this system was configured with 32 gigabytes of RAM, mainly because this particular system was used to process forensic data that would come from cell phones or computers or whatever, and RAM was a critical issue for processing, and usually the data file would be on a USB 3.0 external drive to try to speed up the system as much as possible while you're doing the processing. And overall, this system is actually very quick. So there we have the processor scores, and additionally I want to look at crystal disk. Wanted to show you this. Now this is a 500 gigabyte 7200 RPM standard hard drive, and these are some of the best scores that I've seen for a standard hard drive. So it could easily be replaced with an SSD, but this unit is doing 121 read and write for sequential, 4K, a little bit slower of course, and 4K. So these must be random, I'm thinking, and then the sequentials of course are always going to read pretty high. So depending on the system you're using, you know, if you have an SSD, of course, it would be much faster, but you really cannot tell with this system. It does perform very nicely. Now on the keyboard, the system has the usual left and right mouse buttons and the trackpad, and then it has the left and right mouse buttons here, and this is actually your third button. And I haven't tested it, but I'm sure it does some type of scrolling. Also, it has the touch point or track point. I'm not really sure what its official name is, but it lets us actually control the movement of the mouse, which some people prefer over the standard trackpad. The cool thing about it is you never really have to leave the keyboard. So if you're a typist, you type and then you can move the trackpad, and then you can press the left button, and you've never left the keyboard. Once you get used to it, most people say that this is much faster than the actual original touchpad. Keyboard is backlit, as I mentioned before, and this system also has, of course, a fingerprint reader right here that you can use to log into the system. And if you're used to IdeaPad, Lenovo IdeaPad, or different Lenovo laptops, you'll find this keyboard quite comfortable. It actually has excellent travel. When I compared it to the MacBook over here, it actually had about twice the travel distance. I don't know if you can see when I press the key, but the travel distance is about 2 times as much. And what we're seeing with modern computing, the keyboards are becoming thinner and thinner, and the travel is becoming less and less and less. And to tell the truth, I really don't like that. So this is a very intuitive, comfortable keyboard to type on, and I found that extremely nice. Now, even though this system is currently running on battery, I wanted to show you that I actually have it set for high performance right now. And Lenovo does claim that the battery, the 9-cell battery, will get you about 20 hours of uptime. And right now it's saying it will go 6 hours 35 minutes, and that's at maximum brightness. So I mean, it is possible that you're going to get 10 to 12 hours. The reason I say that is I usually take the actual time as a half of what they say that you're going to get. So if they say you're going to get 20 hours, most of the time I see computers getting 10 to 12 hours. But I'm going to try this test online that's going to test the actual video subsystem, the NVIDIA card that's on board, and see what it scores. So I don't know if you can see the frame rate. I'm going to try and zoom in quite a bit so you can see better what's going on here. But in the lower corner here, it's saying that it's running at 1366 by 768, and it's getting a current frame rate of 25 frames a second. And this is a GL test. Alright, so the system received a total score of 3860, and I'm going to click the information here and see if we can get a comparison. So the test here says that each test is allocated 2,500 points. If your system can play back the content at full speed, it will be allocated the maximum number of points, which is 10,000. If your system's able to play it at 30 frames per second, then it would get approximately 5,000 points, which is about half of what the test requires. So our system here got 3860, which is, again, it was hitting around 20 to 25 frames per second. So it's reasonable. Again, the system isn't really here to play games, but it does have that ability built in. So this has been the Lenovo W530 review. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I probably will put this system up for sale. I'm doing the review for a colleague of mine and good friend, and probably gonna offer this up on Craigslist, but it's a really great system. I'm surprised with that i7 processor and the 32 gigs of RAM. It definitely has some potential, and the mil-spec rating, as well as the ISV compatibility rating with hundreds of applications that are graphically intensive or that might be using video or photography needs. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like and subscribe, and if you really liked the video and you like the channel, do me a favor and share. I really appreciate it. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.